Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to start using pollination. So to get started you want to type in pollination in the command line and that will bring up the pollination panel. So this pollination panel is like any native Rhino panel, so you can dock it wherever you like. I like to have it right next to my layers and object properties. So within the panel, you have a couple of features here. So you have the first row of icons. The first four are visualization icons. So you can color by face type, color by boundary condition, and color by face normal. So I'll toggle through these so you can see what that looks like. So I currently have a model in Rhino that I've already assigned properties to. So the color by face type will color each face a different color based on its type. If you're an Open Studio user, you'll already be familiar with some of these colors. So red is for roof surfaces, yellow is for walls, the blue is for apertures, you have a brown for the doors, and purple for context or shading. When you color by boundary condition, what you're basically seeing is anything that's white is not part of the actual model. It's orphaned surfaces. But everything that is colored is the actual model that's being simulated. And blue is anything that is outdoors. And then we have the orange for ground, and there's one more surface type boundary condition, which is surface. And the way to actually see it, because you can't see it in this view, is to go to render settings. And in render settings you can filter by condition or filter by face type. So right now we have the boundary condition showing, so I'm going to turn outdoors and ground off. I'll leave ground on so you can see the surfaces within. So whatever is not an outdoor condition or a ground condition, it's going to establish as the color green. That's an interior surface. Now pollination automatically assumes that the zero plane on the Z axis, level 0, is ground. So if your building is at -5, which in this case we have a small portion that is, I'll close this and zoom in so you can see it. So we have a section of the building that goes below ground. So pollination will automatically pick that up and say anything that's below 0 on the Z axis is going to be underground, and so it will detect automatically underground walls and floor surfaces. So let's go back to our render settings. Actually, let me switch views so that we're going back to color by face type, and you can see the interior floor along there. Okay, so let's toggle everything back on. Make sure everything is showing. The last thing in the render settings to show is you can set transparency. So if you like ghosted view, you can keep it pretty transparent, but if you want to see the surfaces as solids, you can just set this transparency to 0 and it will automatically darken the room for you. I like it a little transparent, so I'm just gonna put that back. Okay, so you have another icon here, which is room selection on and off. Since Rhino, since the pollination plugin for Rhino is room based, it makes selecting things easier by room. If you toggle that off, it allows you to select apertures, doors, shading if you have it assigned to the room, without having to hit Control Shift. So if room selection is on, then you would be selecting by room, and that would select all of the child objects that belong to that room. But if you don't want to toggle the room selection on and off, you can hit Control Shift, and that should allow you to select surfaces and objects. Another way to actually manipulate or select object is to double click and isolate a room, and then you're able to make whatever changes you want to your model. And you just hit double click again outside of your room or hit escape to leave that space. And the last two icons here are model resources and settings. These are going to be reviewed during the energy modeling and daylight modeling workflows, so I'm going to skip them for now. But you should know that this is where you can, set your loads and everything like that. And energy simulation parameters are under settings. The next row is there's two filters for you to visualize in your list. There's by rooms, so all of your rooms show up here. And then you have orphan objects, which are anything that shades or context or anything that isn't part of the rooms that you've modeled. So going back to rooms, if you expand each room, you'll be able to select by surface. And depending on whether or not that surface has apertures, you'll also see, so the hierarchy is room, faces, and then apertures or doors in the case where you might have doors. So let's find a door. So we have two doors here in this room that we're looking at. When you create rooms in Rhino, like I've done here, by selecting all the rooms, each room just automatically gets given a name. You want to be able, if you want to rename these rooms, you can double click on it and go ahead and rename things. So for example, if I want to rename that first floor room to be a lobby, I can name it lobby. And then I'll find the next room. I'm going to say this is the girls' restroom. Okay, I'm just going to name a couple because there's a search/filter feature to the rooms. When you have maybe 100 rooms in an energy model or a daylight model, you want the ability to search by room type. So, restroom for boys. I'm just assigning names for things. I'm going to call that the mechanical room. There are other features that you can change in here, so you can change what story it's on, you can make changes to construction types. Again, that's going to be covered in a different video, but there are other metadata that you can change at the room level. You can also do that for each face. You can double click on a face and rename that face. So let's see, it's a face type is floor, so I'm gonna assume this is a terrazzo if you want to have some specificity for daylighting or something like that. So if you want to search in the filters, you can search by lobby, you can search by restroom, and that allows you to filter. Now let's see if we can find that material. Okay, so it doesn't work at the face level, but it definitely works at the room level, and hopefully we'll add that as a feature in the future.